I was conceived in the back of a station wagon in a grapefruit grove during spring break over a six-pack of beer. My father was abandoned on the streets of Chicago at 3 days old and adopted out through the Protestant church to a middle-class family who lived in the suburbs of Boston. Or is it that his parents were teenagers who gave him up for a better life than they could provide? We tell stories to make ourselves feel better, to add color to our humble beginnings. But what matters more, the story of where you came from or the story you're living now? And how do we balance the two when one greatly affects the other? With family, we hide the truth like skeletons in our closet, yet we share the untruths that somehow make us feel bigger than who we are. When I was a young girl, my grandmother regaled with great pride that we were descendants of Leif Erikson, a Viking of Vikings with tough warrior energy. I imagined the tales of travel, of loss and victory and the winner-takes-all mentality, and the boisterous home life of family coming together after long times apart. My experience was anything but. I grew up with the oft-spoken phrase, children should be seen and not heard. This was first penned by an Old English clergyman in the late 15th century and was originally targeted towards young women. At some point, it was reinterpreted to include all children. It's a phrase I heard in the back of my mind even when it wasn't being spoken. It allowed for little expression of who I was. The underlying messages were, fall in line, act like an adult, and you'll be okay. Mine is one of many generations before me who were raised with this toxic phrase. Maintaining the image of the family was first and foremost. From the outside, we looked prim and proper. As a young girl, I also heard stories of us being descendants of the British royal family, majestic and stoic with long-born pageantry and customs. Our family crest was proudly hung on the wall, painted by my great-aunt Sue. And much like the royal family, there were skeletons hidden in our closet and secrets that went to the grave. We pretended that we didn't know what we knew, that we didn't see what we saw, and those who spoke the truth were othered. We were taught to not be, taught to continue a heritage that was sometimes dangerous to both the psyche and our physical being. It's what I call the trappings of the white middle class. You have food on your plate and clothes on your back. Be happy with what you have. I've sacrificed and struggled for you. You're going to have a say when you're paying your own rent. But the physiological needs that were the focus for our being didn't always provide safety or trust, the keys to our becoming, like a hug or hearing, I love you. We need love, understanding, and patience to be seen for who you are, not being molded into someone's definition of who they want you to be. I naturally sought connection with my family, but there was little depth to our conversations or space for talking about what was really happening under our roof. My family went beyond the premise that it wasn't safe to talk about sex, politics, or religion. We didn't talk about life. We were together, but essentially apart. Instead of feeling accepted, the silence made me feel separate while living under a shared roof. The transgressions were hidden and swept under the rug. It felt like the image of the family was more important, even when one of the individuals was put in harm's way. Yet at least 4 generations of women in my family were sexually abused and not protected. Our pain mired in silence and numbed by alcohol. The combination of my ancestry was confusing. Who are you really when you have the heritage of indestructible pillars in society combined with a feeling of illegitimacy if you don't maintain the status quo? How do you evolve when individuality isn't championed? As children, we have little choice. We follow the rules in order to be accepted. We don't know any different. Then at some point, you see the reality of things. For many years, I numbed my pain through drugs, alcohol, and then a 27-year career on Wall Street. What I hadn't realized is that numbing my pain is a shadow that would continue to follow me until I finally turned around to face it. Our soul pushes us to make a choice. At long last, I found the courage to stop swiping left on my deeply held emotions. Then, as the world entered into the pandemic, the universe looked me square in the eye and asked me to choose. Did I want to continue to be connected via the unspoken family trauma bonds, or did I want to be free? It's not just about walking away, though. Those who raise us are here to teach us valuable lessons for our evolution. At long last, those who raise us are here to teach us valuable lessons for our evolution. For my own well-being, I decided I needed to let go of the deep longing for anyone to show up for me beyond what they were capable of. As beautifully said by Naguib Mahfouz, home is not where you were born. Home is where all your attempts to escape cease. I walked away from the fear of being excommunicated, and this began what I call an energetic divorce. Through many layers of acceptance and forgiveness, I let go of the rule that to be accepted is to silence who I am. I finally acknowledged the loss of my childhood, growing up too fast, the innocence, the wonder, the ability to feel safe, to dream. With the space created in my heart, a chosen family emerged. Chosen family accepts me without limitation. They're with me through my evolution. They don't care where I come from. They don't tie me to my old stories, nor do they pigeonhole me into a box. Being with chosen family is like a renaissance of childhood. I can play and be safe with people who support my exploration and me discovering me. With people also committed to the truth of who they are. I spent a long time wondering and wandering, never really feeling grounded or connected. At the core of our existence, we are children of God and the universe, and part of this journey is to find your place. My path has been to trust myself, to continue to help break toxic cycles, and to use my voice for good. Turns out, the story about Leif Erikson was a lie. But I still imagine what his home life was like, boisterous, filled with tales of victory and loss, coming home to care and be taken care of, full of energy and rest, food and nurturing, an outward expression of the love of being together, not unlike chosen family, where we don't question our place or how we fit in. There's a shared joy in community and of being in something bigger than the individual that champions your uniqueness. Thank you.